Hi everyone, and welcome to Chrysalis on the Couch. Hi Gina, hi
Hello.
Lizzie, and hi Becky. So
Hi.
Chrysalis on the Couch, we are very excited to welcome you to our first video cast. And if you enjoy this, please don't forget to press that like button and do subscribe to our channel as well. We'd love to see more of you. So today, we are going to be talking together about lockdown and what that has meant for us. So today I am joined by Gina Ablitt, who is a hypnotherapy tutor at Chrysalis, Becky Moares, who is from our head office at Chrysalis and works closely with our students, and Lizzie Stroud, who is a student on our Year 3 course. So I'm Lorna Cordwell, and welcome to everybody. And well, hi everyone. How's it feel to be here? So Becky, can I come to you first? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, big change working from home, but it's been great, and it's surprising how you adapt to, you know, working at home, interacting with the Zoom meetings with my colleagues, and yeah, it's been okay. Big changes. And I'm sure everyone feels that there's been a lot of change working from home and just the situation that we're in. I mean, lockdown is tough, but yeah, it's been okay. I'm getting there.
Good. And so well, we're all working from home, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah. I'm working from home too. Since March.
And Gina, is that for your tutoring at Chrysalis and for your...
Yes, so for my private practice and for the tutoring at Chrysalis, which we've been doing now. I've done several classes now online and it's working out quite well. Yeah.
Right.
Quite,
This is interesting,
quite
isn't
well.
it? So Lizzie, have you had an online class?
Yes, I have actually. We've had a couple now. And it's just really lovely to be reunited with our little group. We're actually quite a small group in Reading, our third year. There's only 6 of us, but it was just lovely to kind of see them and connect with them again and see our lovely tutor.
Yeah, I think I found the same thing. So, you know, I've done a couple of classes now, and I actually found myself in kind of semi-lockdown, well, actually no, lockdown, before lockdown actually happened, because I wasn't feeling too well, and, you know, a bit of a sore throat, usually something that I would not worry about at all, but because of the circumstances, I just had to say no. So, you know, my classes were cancelled before many others, and my therapy practice stopped before we even had to do that. So yeah, in some cases, you know, I've really felt like it's been a really long time since myself and my students have been able to meet up again. How's that felt for you, Gina?
Yeah, it's been the same for me. I locked down before the official lockdown, and I actually cancelled lots of my private clients, which was awful for me to have to do, but I wasn't feeling well too. So, you know, I thought it was the safest thing to do. And of course, I did my last class at the beginning of March for Chrysalis. And then, I thought, what's going to happen now? But, you know, it has picked up. At the time, it was very difficult. Most of my clients privately didn't want to do Zoom and that kind of thing to start with, but that's picked up. And of course, obviously, we couldn't do the classes face to face, but now again, we're on Zoom and everybody's getting their classes. So it's much better. But okay, some people are finding it, with new people, they're finding it more difficult because they've never met before. But the people that have already, the students that have already been to face-to-face classes have found it really good because they've been able to connect, like Lizzie said. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and our office has been open all the time, hasn't it, Becky? So you've been like a hub of being able to take inquiries and concerns and so on. How's that been?
Yeah, there was a lot of students that were worried about doing the studying, learning online, but actually once they tried it and got into it, we had some really positive feedback. The supplementary information that we had on Moodle, The webinars have proved really popular, and yeah, it seems to be going from strength to strength. And I think, you know, there is that initial fear when you haven't used the technology before. Can I do it? Am I going to like it? But actually, once you get going, it's fine. And yeah, I think it's been good, this sort of blended learning that we're the approach that we're taking at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a good experience for most people. You know, I think that's the benefits. You know, they're coming back and saying it's great that Chrysalis are providing, you know, this sort of interim learning for us. So yeah.
Yeah, because back in March, it was kind of nobody knew where we were going to go in the country,
right.
let alone just our students. And
that's
so it was kind of quite scary, I think. And obviously people didn't know what was happening behind the scenes. But Chrysalis has been working so hard to sort out all the new modules online and everything that we're going to do now. And of course, and that's all coming to fruition, which is really proving well, actually. Yeah,
great. I've really felt that as well. And Lizzie, it's been it'd be interesting to hear your experience on this, and because we have traditionally always been a face-to-face college. You know, our classes have always been face-to-face, and we've always put a lot of emphasis on face-to-face teaching, and, you know, the group really gelling together and supporting each other and being able to interact with each other has been a really important part of the course. And I'm guessing that for the past couple of years, if not longer, that's been your experience with Chrysalis until very recently. So, you know, how's that felt for you, just having to adapt to?
Yeah, I mean, an interesting process, and like Gina says, you know, for some, technology can be quite overwhelming, quite daunting. What's that going to look like? I think sometimes you just have to rip off the band-aid and just go for it, don't you? I felt really prepared for it. Chrysalis were really good in providing steps, you know, how to kind of manage it. And it was great because I felt like before we went into our Zoom meetings, we were really prepared with all of the supplementary learning as well. I mean, naturally, it's always going to be a different experience connecting remotely. I'm very fortunate that I've got a very close group of colleagues, of students. So again, like I said earlier, it's just great to be able to connect with them. And it kind of really gives you that, really uplifting and kind of motivates you. Keeps to keep the studies going.
Yeah, and I think I found a similar thing with my groups. I teach in Newcastle, and one of my groups, it was just so lovely because I'd contacted the group and said, okay, we're able to resume studies and we're going to be doing this by Zoom, and I hope everyone's okay. And one person said to me, oh, that's fine, you know, we've been meeting by Zoom for ages now, and we've been keeping in really close contact, and we've been supporting each other through this anyway. And that was really great to hear, that actually that the group hadn't just kind of been sitting back, but saw the Chrysalis group as a whole as their personal source of support. And I think that's something that really comes across for me when we're working in our classes, that, you know, we really work hard to promote that experience. And it's great to hear when it works.
Yeah, and I think Lorna, that the idea of forming those study groups right from year one really kind of helps to kind of cement those friendships and that support network as well, which is really lovely.
Yeah. And Becky, do you get that impression as well, that students are working hard, supporting each other, as you know? And I mean, I definitely get the impression as well that us tutors have been, you know, really, really keen to get back into the flow of things. And you know, even when we weren't sure what was happening, and it was very clear that we need to be clear on what's happening, we just really wanted to keep the communication going.
Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty good. We've had a weekly newsletter going out, updating students weekly on what's available for them, and just, you know, letting them know that we are here, we're still open, email in, whatever your query is, we'll help you, we'll support you. Sometimes that's difficult to get across, but we do know some students struggle, and we're just here to help and guide. You know, we don't always know the answer straight away, but usually we can find out within 2 or 3 days and get back to them. So yeah, it's been good. I think overall students have coped really well, and I think it's helped them focus in a way. When you have to adapt quickly to change, it I don't know, it just gives you that impetus to, yes, I can do this, keep going, you know, and support each other.
Yeah, I think about technology was the scary thing for me, like with some of the students. I remember when Moodle first came on board, I was really frightened because I didn't know what I was going to be doing. And I thought, oh no, I want the paper back. But when you get into the swing of it, it all works well, and actually it saves a lot of time and lifting. So yeah,
it certainly does, doesn't it? It really does. And yeah, I mean, it's just enabled the experience to be so richer in so many ways. And I think it's brilliant the way that we are so adaptable, as you know, people are just so adaptable, just given a sort of gentle shove that we have to do something differently, we just kind of find ourselves going, oh, okay, I shall do this, and then we do that. So I did the first of the webinars, Lizzie, and I have to say that, you know, it was the thought of the technology that was the most terrifying thing. Yeah. It really was. You know, it was like, well, supposing I lose everybody, supposing I cut people off halfway through, you know, the idea of talking to 300 people online was not phasing at all. It was a bit phasing when I realised that everybody would be visible. So, you know, and talking, but you know, it was really the, have I pressed the button? You know, did I press the right button? Can people hear me? Am I just talking to a piece of plastic in front of me and nobody else is here at all? It was the technology, but like everything else, we try it out, we get used to it, and now it starts to feel a lot more normal. I mean, how does this feel now? Does this feel
normal?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah,
you just get used to things, don't you?
It's like sitting around chatting to friends, having a cup of
yeah, the new normal. It's very odd.
But we can people even like shopping online, they perhaps hadn't tackled it because they like the experience of going out into the supermarket and choosing, but they've been forced because of lockdown or quarantining. They've got to try and find some online shopping, and that in itself has been a task.
Yes,
absolutely.
You know, getting a slot.
I don't know about you, but you know, Amazon and eBay is doing quite well out of me at the moment.
Sainsbury's is doing well out of me. I'm getting my online food shop, and getting the slots can be quite difficult sometimes. Right. But yeah, I've been okay. Originally, it was difficult because it was new to everybody. Like with Chrysalis, everything was new. We had to find new ways to do things, didn't we? So the supermarkets did too. So of course things were a bit tougher to start with. Yeah. In every walk of life, really, not just with supermarkets.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things I found really interesting of teaching online for Chrysalis is how you know, how we can just treat it differently, because if you like, we've got two environments, haven't we? We've got the environment that we're sitting in, our home, where we do what we like to a very large extent, and then we've got the classroom environment where, you know, we're kind of on show, and it's about, you know, being attentive and being respectful and so on and so on. But I think it's been interesting how, you know, we can sort of feel that we can sort of push the boundaries somehow on that. And you know, it's been fascinating for me to have more of an insight into what people think is okay to do in an online class and what is not okay to do in an online class. So I don't know, Gina, if you've had sort of, you know, any kind of interesting thoughts on that, or Lizzie, if you found anything interesting there.
I had a few dogs and a few children come on. My dog is laying very quietly on the mat in front of me at the moment. And for classes, I lock him out of the room because I don't want him to be barking or doing anything silly.
Sure.
But at the moment, he's just laying there nice and quietly. But yeah, that can be interesting when other people come in.
Yeah. I think it's a real interesting one, isn't it? Because you can talk about clothing and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And we've all got dressed today for this meeting, haven't we? I can definitely.
I hope so, Lizzie.
Yeah, I have had staff meetings where I'm still in my pyjamas.
No, I did take my slippers off. I've got shoes on. So yeah, I think it is just change, isn't it? I mean, this is the kind of work we do as therapists. It's about change, and I think that's the thing that was hard for people to make those changes to begin with. And it was tough to start with. I personally had to cancel my clients, couldn't work, and so finances became a bit of an issue. Obviously they're not teaching, so I was very worried, but I got out in the garden and started planting vegetables and seeds and growing lots of things. Yeah. And
a veggie patch on the go.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly too. So that, you know, really helped a lot. So it's artwork, that kind of thing. I paint and draw and do stuff like that. So that's kept me going. And
did you find much time to do all those things earlier, Gina?
Before,
did you find much time to do all those things earlier?
Before lockdown, no. I didn't,
right.
That's the trouble. Yeah, so it's been good from that point of view. It's given me that time to do those kind of things that I maybe rush normally or, you know, leave. But yeah, so that's been a good point. And the finances obviously have picked up now because of the government help, self-employed people, and that kind of thing. And one or two clients are coming online for Zoom. So things are picking up. But initially, it was kind of difficult when I first went back to teaching and back to seeing clients online, because you are worried yourself and you're scared yourself. So you have to keep a persona for these people to encourage them to feel good too. So you don't want to go onto Zoom saying, oh dear, lockdown is terrible, and that kind of stuff. So you have to have that kind of space for yourself. So how I get over that is obviously supervision, that really helps, and meditating, yoga, that kind of thing, and my artwork. It just helps to keep me how I need to be, and my dog, of course.
And yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it? But I totally agree with you, and that's been very much my experience as well as a therapist, is that I had to close down my 2 face-to-face practices, so one in London, one in York, and just say to clients, okay, for the time being, you know, everything will need to be online. And I actually feel very fortunate that I could actually do that, because one of the centres that I work in is a complementary health centre. There's a lot of practitioners there who do physical therapies. So they do acupuncture or massage or physiotherapy, and they haven't been able to do anything at all since the lockdown, because you know they have to physically be hands-on with their clients. So I felt very fortunate being a talking therapist. And using hypnotherapy like you as well, Gina, that it's, you know, that we have a profession here, and we have a skill set that transfers online. And I don't know if you found the same thing, and I don't know if you found the same thing as well, Lizzie, that it's not the same, you know, it's not the same, but it is pretty close. And you know, and once the client feels comfortable with it, then there's lots that we can do, and there's lots of engagement that can happen. And you know, to a very large extent, most hypnotherapy as well. And sometimes perhaps it even works better because the client's kind of in a comfortable environment, and that they know they can relax into it, and they've not got to sort of get up and travel home after the session, and you know, perhaps they can relax more easily. So it's been a challenge. And Lizzie, are you on placements and in year 3? So you've been working with clients?
Yeah, I've been accruing my clinical hours this academic year. When we went into lockdown, I work at a local secondary school, so naturally things kind of gradually closed down, and the sort of one-to-one face-to-face work had to kind of be put on pause for a while. And like Gina was saying, you know, it was a challenging time for me on a personal level initially, while I was trying to kind of get my head around everything because of, you know, the sudden changes. So me and my supervisor agreed that actually for a couple of weeks I kind of put the therapy on pause and looked at then how I could then move the therapy from that sort of face-to-face then to this sort of remote therapy. I've now started working with my clients again, and I'm finding the work really powerful, and just that they have the opportunity to connect, although it's not in the same way. We can still hold that space and make it really unique for them, and it just gives them that opportunity to be heard, and for someone to just, you know, to use as a sounding board when, you know, they have their stresses or worries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine that this has been a similar experience for many students, and I would imagine, Becky, that a lot of questions that were coming through to the office were around these kind of concerns of how do I continue to support my volunteers or my clients, or how can I do my practice?
Yeah, we did have a lot of emails coming in, and that's fine. I mean, we're happy to help people and support people. There were a few delays getting back to people, but hopefully now we're getting more up to speed with the inquiries and the information. So we can usually get back to students within a couple of days with their queries, just supporting them. But and that helps because, you know, we do remember that they're learning remotely, you know, most of the time, and they need that contact and that support, and, you know, hopefully I think we provide that. So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, that's an interesting thing, Becky, that, you know, our Chrysalis experience has always been sort of, you know, working in relatively small groups and close and local and so on. And I think that's a real strength of ours, that we do work locally. You know, so you know that as a student, the group that you're working with is a group that is fairly local to you. Your tutor's local, you know the local area together, and you can connect to each other in that way. But then, Becky, when you just mentioned, it's like, you know, you sort of, you know, try to keep on top of emails. I think that sometimes we can forget, can't we, that Chrysalis is actually, it's a UK-wide organisation, and we run a lot of classes around the UK, and that you are supporting students across the UK. And that there's many of us at any one time, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah, we do get a lot of emails, but that's fine. You know, there's 3 of us in the student support team, so we cover different areas. I'm in the central area, so it's broken down, and we work together as a team. If one of us is off sick or away on holiday, we sort of dib into their inbox. So we will get back to students, and, you know, I think we're pretty good at coming back with queries. But like you say, it's been, you know, a tremendous time of change for everybody, and you have to adapt, and, you know, just, I think it's been a time of reflection for everyone. And a time of a lot of change, you know, personal change and work changes as well, and study changes. So, but I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Because it is a huge country, so there's a lot of stuff coming in, isn't there? And yeah, I've actually said to my students, just be patient. If you're waiting for something, just be patient. It will come. Everybody's in slack. The government, the shops, the Chrysalis, everybody, you know, is all working these things through, and it's just being a little bit kind of patient and hanging on.
Yeah, I think lockdown's gone on a little bit longer than people were hoping for. But I think there's signs now that they're going to start easing restrictions, and you know, in time we're going to get students back face-to-face classes, hopefully in the autumn, you know, and there's sort of positive steps for the future. But it's been a journey for all of us, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's one of the things that's coming across here is that, you know, one of the things that we, right from the outset, that we learn on our therapy course is empathy and, you know, being able to step into other people's shoes. And, you know, it's like, well, yeah, I wonder how it feels for you know, for you in the office, just working very hard to ensure that everyone is, you know, getting the right information and is feeling okay and so on and so on. But then how does it feel to be studying with Chrysalis and not knowing what's happening with the course and, you know, what's the next step? And it's like, I haven't heard from anybody for a week and what's happening. And how does it feel being a tutor? It's, you know, we're all in sort of totally different camps there, aren't we? It's, you know, it's okay. We know that something's going to happen. We know that something is going to change. We know that we are so restricted by, you know, what's happening in the UK with the virus and the government information and how we need things to be. We're so restricted by what we are able to do.
Yeah, and I think it's been tough for students, well, for all of us, not being able to see extended family,
oh gosh,
not being able to see your classmates. You've had to turn everything on its head, you know, and that's been particularly hard. I mean, I miss working in the office with the girls, and sometimes we would bounce queries off each other and, oh, what do you think about this? You know, it's the same with students. And, you know, you have to sort of rely more on yourself. You have to sort of struggle to find the answers yourself sometimes.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
You take it for granted, don't you, sometimes when you're with people, how much you bounce things off. You know, and when you haven't got that face-to-face interaction, it's harder. But I think this Zoom, I mean, I haven't used Zoom before, but I think it's, you know, fantastic. We have our weekly morning meeting, and then we have a team meeting in the afternoon, and yeah, it's quite good. I'm getting used to it now. I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just getting used to things, isn't it? That's all. It's that change thing again. It's,
do any of you Skype with your family or Zoom with your family and friends?
Yeah,
for
sure.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Yeah. So that I've been doing that for a little while because I am up with technology now. But but yeah, so I have been doing that for a little while. So that got me used to the thing about looking at a screen and talking to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older. I didn't know if I'd like that kind of thing.
Hey, can you imagine how this situation would have been if we didn't have any of this technology? You know, sort of go back a few years when we were all on, you know, I'm kind of showing my age here, sort of, you know, dial-up modems, and or no internet at all. And you know, relying on, you know, being able to phone somebody on the landline, and, you know, hopefully they're not speaking to somebody else, and you can't see anybody, and that would have been a very different experience, wouldn't it? I think I would have felt a lot more cut off than
and isolated.
Definitely.
And that's the thing. I mean, some students might feel that too if they do live a little bit further away, but this has helped them, you know, to obviously connect with their classmates again, which has been great. Because some of my students might live an hour or so away, so they're not able to just kind of meet up and stuff. But the Zoom has helped them too. So, you know, if they haven't got much kind of going on in their family and things, that's been helpful for them.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all good, really. It is good. And, you know, technology is wonderful when it works. And so far, we've all been lucky, haven't we?
Or we've just managed to handle it. You know, so maybe it's not so much that we've been lucky, but you know, I think it's worked a lot better than I expected. I mean, I can you know, I can think back to some Skype calls that I've had with clients in the past where the connection's just been so weak, and it's been very frustrating. And, you know, it definitely seems to have improved recently. I don't know whether Zoom is just better than some other platforms. I'm not sure, but you know, it's rare. I think I found to get a very poor connection. And, but I've tried to treat it a little bit like, anything else in the face-to-face classroom. It's like, okay, sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes, sometimes there are train cancellations and people can't get on time. Sometimes the venues forgot that we are arriving that day. You just handle it. And Zoom is no different to that. We just handle it, don't we? It's like, oh, let's get connected again.
Or think on your feet.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of that sometimes, thinking on your feet. But
but it makes a real difference, don't you think? Actually being able to see somebody. In the past, I've done a few telephone sessions with clients. Mainly because they haven't been able to come in face to face, and I've been in an environment where I haven't had a computer with me or whatever, or they haven't. And we've done telephone sessions, and I feel that there's more similarity between online work and face to face than there is between online work and telephone.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because obviously you can see each other and you can, guess facially what's going on, body language, that kind of stuff. So it's much better for therapy than the telephone, because people hide behind telephones, don't they?
Well, I mean, of course, people can hide behind online work as well. And I've had a sort of, a few notable times with people on Zoom where people have kind of sort of drifted off screen and suddenly disappeared. And I was like, oh, hello, where are you? Come back, please. But I look forward to that one.
Yeah, I will.
But I think it makes a real difference being able to see somebody.
Yeah, and I think just talking about seeing people, we had a lot of students that have loved the videos, the online learning videos. They've really helped on Moodle. We've had a lot of people say it's great because they can, if they miss something, they can just replay the video, and that's been good. Whereas, if you're just in a classroom and the teacher says something, you can't go back and replay that. So that has helped with a lot of students for their learning. So that's been good. Good feedback.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And of course, as far as I'm aware, Becky, that we are, we're going to leave all of this new information up so that, when students are, when we're fully back to doing face-to-face courses, and hopefully we can do that sooner rather than later. But all those other resources will still remain there. Yeah.
I've the webinars are put onto Moodle afterwards, so students that couldn't book on will have access to those, so that's been good. And I think I'm hoping that we will carry on with these webinars for a while, because they have proved so popular, and I think it's just another tool for students, because you can sort of go back to it, you can revisit it on Moodle. And it's like watching films again. You miss things the first time, and then you go back and you think, oh, I didn't notice that.
Absolutely. Lizzie, how have you found the webinars? Have you been able to tune into any of them?
I've tuned into a few, and I've also found the supplementary learning really useful. The little kind of online video tutorials that we get prior to a lecture, they're fab. Although I've always felt quite prepared going into sort of my lectures, it's been nice to have that extra material actually. And I've also found the slides really useful as well. So in addition to the module notes, we've also got now the module slides, which I found great and a really good resource.
Because then if they miss something or just don't make notes while they're in class, either on Zoom or face to face, they've got these to go back to, as you say, Becky, to look at, to recap, to remind them and help them with their homework and that kind of thing.
Because sometimes in life, you sort of think, right, I'll do that homework. Oh, something happens. You leave it for a couple of days, then you go back to it and you think, oh, crumbs, I've forgotten. I could do with a refresher, and just being able to go back to it online.
Well, I was a Chrysalis student many years ago, and we didn't have this then, so it would have been great. I would have liked that. at that time.
Yeah.
So what was different, Gina?
So it was face-to-face classes, obviously, and yeah, the only difference was we didn't have the Zoom. I mean, obviously there's some content that's changed over the years, but very much similar to how it is now, with our tutors and what have you. Yeah, so if I'd have had the Zoom thing, the webinars and that kind of stuff, it would have been a bit easier maybe to compile the homework sometimes, let's put it like that, which I think my students are finding really good. Judging by the amount of less queries I'm getting, you know, not that they gave loads, but sometimes they would not be really making notes, and they'd come and text me and say, oh, what did you say about so-and-so? And I'd go over it with them, but now they're not doing that quite so much because they're seeing it again on the...
Okay,
yeah,
so, you know, a few things that are the same as they have been for a long time, because I guess, you know, we same as many other people, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But then able to add on to that, you know, these new resources and so on, and so it's good to hear that people are finding them useful and valuable. And I think that some of the webinars as well, we've tried to do something that is kind of interesting for people personally, that it's not all about therapy, for example. And Lizzie, did you see the first, I think it was the first one, where we sort of reintroduced Maslow's pyramid? And, you know, really because I think that very often when we look at a diagram like that, we can find ourselves saying, but yeah, in our modern world, we never really have to bother about those lower layers anymore. You know, we never have to bother about, you know, whether there's food in the shops or loo rolls, or, you know, or, you know, whether we're going to be okay. And then we all found that actually maybe we do. Sometimes, you know, something comes along and we absolutely have to bother about those basic things that we've just really taken for granted.
Yeah.
So did you link in with that pyramid, Lizzie? You would have learnt about it at some stage.
I mean, I refer to it quite often with clients in the therapeutic context, but actually on a personal level, that document came at such a good time, because it actually prompted me, almost forced me to slow down and kind of reevaluate things, and actually think, okay, what's priority right now? Is it you know, getting my module 7 assignment in, or actually should I be giving myself a bit more sleep, a bit more rest, you know, just slowing down and just getting the basics first. Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually, it was one of the reasonings behind the supplementary learning, wasn't it, Becky? It was, okay, we really appreciate that everybody is in different positions here, and some people are absolutely anxious to continue with their studies. Some people are working very hard, ridiculous hours as key workers at the moment, and some people just really do not want to or cannot concentrate on anything to do with Chrysalis at the moment, because they've got personal stuff going on which is so much more important for them. So the supplementary learning was always considered to be, well, it's supplementary, it's there if you want it, and
it's not compulsory.
Exactly. If you don't,
and you can dip into it and dip out when you feel you want to, you know, take it on board. But and that's the good thing about being, you know, flexible learning. You know, you don't, it's not strict, and you can sort of dip into it and reflect on it, go back to it. So
work it around your lifestyle.
That's right,
your needs, and you know,
and everybody's, well, a lot of lifestyles have been turned on their head. You know, suddenly people have got young children or relatives staying with them, and or, you know, people out of work with them, you know, sort of different worries, different situations. And you have to sort of adapt how you feel and how you're able to learn, you know, and it's change, isn't it? It's all about adapting to changes all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it will be, you know, I mean, you know, we're into next steps. We don't know how this is going to be and so on. And we know that we're probably going to have to go through more changes and then more changes again and then more changes again. But at least we know that, you know, that we're doing our best with the first set of changes that we've had to make. So I'm just aware of the time and knowing that we'll need to bring this to a close soon. Does that feel okay if we bring that to a close soon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been really lovely talking with you all, and I hope that we have this opportunity again. You know, interesting what we were just saying there, because I believe that our next video cast is going to be on a subject of the positives that can come out of a crisis, if you like. So, you know, just looking at, you know, what people learn and how we take things forward and so on. But yeah, it's time to bring it to a close now. Anybody who has been watching this, thank you so much for watching. You know, don't forget to like our videos if you've enjoyed this, and do subscribe to our channel. And we all are going to say goodbye now, but thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.